Okay, I'm about to start a video of last night. I apologize to the lady for putting her face on this video. I apologize, she was very gracious. It's no attack on her, nothing to take personal with her. I see President Trump put people's faces and talk about people day in and day out, tweeting and with his media cast, whatever he uses. So if President Trump has the freedom of speech to do this, she's a public official. She's doing a public job. I hope that I don't make the courts in Arizona and Maricopa County, I hope I don't make you angry at me. I've already been served. I've had trouble with the HOA since a month and a half after I bought my closed 3 houses here 19 years ago. I closed 2 of the last 3 houses on the golf course overlooking the lake in October 13th of 2004. And by the middle of November, I had a letter in my file for violating the CC&Rs. I can't win. You've seen in other videos. But my apology to this lady, okay? I just want you to, the people out in YouTube land, this is a messy divorce for me. I never got married in my life because I knew if I ever went into a court that the court, the lawyer, and my wife would cut me to shreds, okay? I'm no angel. I'm a sinner. I have a lot of human flaws, all right? I can be aggressive at times. I can be jealous at times. I have all the human flaws that character can provide. And I have a ton of experience, all right? I know corruption. And I've seen it for 75 years. In everything. It's in everything. The 10%. But I'm going to start this video, and I apologize, but I want to let you know, anybody who is a single person who's never dealt with a lawyer, doesn't have a lawyer on retainer, never had to ever deal with a lawyer, please do not ever get associated with an HOA. They have foreclosing down to a science. They have equity theft down to a science. I've been a blue-collar knuckle-dragging ape all my life. I was a mechanic. I was the avionics on F4s, the fighter control system, weapons system on the F4J. I have an A&P license. I'm a licensed aircraft mechanic. I've had that A&P license since about 1985. I got it in around the fall of 85. That's how long I've been an FAA licensed mechanic. And not only was I licensed, I worked in the field. All right? I've done it all. But I've never had to have a lawyer ever in my life because I stayed single. And I would have cheated. I would have been the worst husband. You know, a man's got to know his limitations. All right, I have an eye for the ladies. You don't have to tempt me much to cross over the line. What my dad would call walking his dog outside the park. If I was married, I'd probably be walking my dog outside the park all the time. All's fair in love and war. Well, now I married a HOA 20 years ago, and I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. I've never dealt with a lawyer before. This paper package you're going to see in this video, I don't know what to do with it. All I know is the HOA wants about $50,000 in fines at $100 a day. You want to talk about weaponizing? This HOA is about 5 or 6 people who, to me, are John Birchers, Life Springers, whatever, West Coast Republicans that don't know how to share. Okay? And they look down on me like I crawled out of a sewer someplace in New York City or Boston. I've lived in Boston. I've lived in the Tri-Cities of New York. I lived in Troy. Troy was like little Brooklyn, all brownstones. So I know street stuff from New York, and we question authority. And being a Marine, I got set back in Parris Island. I went to Parris Island for boot camp and got set back about 4 weeks because I got staph infection. If anybody's ever been in the service and ever been in a staph infection ward, I was in one. I had carbuncles and boils all over my buttocks, my legs, and I was one of the best patients in the ward. There was patients that spent all day on their stomach because they had a hole in their back that you could put a shotgun shell into. All right, they had to be repacked every night. Some had them in their feet. I got out lucky. I was only in the hospital in Parris Island for about 2 weeks, but when I got out, that was it. I had to be set back. I missed drown proofing. I missed the gas chamber. I missed a lot of training that if I would have been with my original platoon, I could have. But I had to drop out from training for my original platoon because I couldn't sit down. I had big, huge boils all over my legs and buttocks. The doctor, the medic, when I went into him, when I finally got in to see a doctor, a Navy doctor, I don't know if he was a corpsman or a doctor, he said, "We're going to lance everything tomorrow." And I just said, "Please, give me a day or two. Let me take hot showers, hot compresses." And he had put me on real heavy antibiotics. I said, "Let me take the antibiotics for a couple days. Would you please, sir?" Here I was, a boot in camp, but I finally had a doctor with an adult, and he was trying to treat me. And I said, "I really don't want to be cut. I don't want to be cut. I don't want them lanced. If you give me a couple days, maybe I can take care of them." And he did. He gave me heavy-duty prescriptions. I was taking these hot, steamy showers all day, and finally I got these boils on my leg. They all started busting. Huge pus balls coming out of them. All right? And I got well enough to go back to my platoon, but it was too late. I'd missed too much training. I had to be set back again. And this platoon I got set back to didn't want me. It was like coming to Buckeye, buying 3 houses in Buckeye. The last thing they wanted was a new guy in their platoon. Okay? They had a really tight platoon. But anyway, thanks for listening. That was one of my U.S. Marine stories. I got a lot of them. But we're going to start the video. And like I said, I apologize to this lady. She was only doing her job. But I'm doing this to educate the people out there about how HOAs operate. She came to me at 7:30 at night, dark in a rainstorm. She rang the door and then she pounded on the door. She rang the bell and then she knocked on the door. But I now have a paper package to read that I don't understand anything in it. I don't have a lawyer on retainer. I've interviewed lawyers in the past for the last 10 years. Every couple of years I get a hold of a lawyer. I sit down with them and they want nothing to do with going up against the town of Buckeye or the city of Buckeye the golf course and the HOA, especially out here in the West Valley when we're in a red bubble. Red bubble. All right? I stand out like a turd in a punch bowl here. I'm very vocal about civil rights. All right? I want what I paid for. That Tract A should be open. I tried to explain to her last night. Poor lady, she listened. Thank you very much for listening. But that's what this is all about. This is what my point of view as to the highest and best use of Tract A. Tract A right now has been made semi-private with no golf carts because of Lebensraum. Living space for the people from the Midwest who own on both sides of the cart path. Okay? They don't want to own a house out here as a snowbird coming here half the time or a quarter of a time. They don't want to own a snowbird house out here where they're not here and know that there was golf carts going by their patio. We don't want golf carts going by our patio. On our farm back in Wisconsin or Minnesota or Nebraska or wherever, we don't have golf carts going by our patio. We don't want them here. And the people who run the HOA, the people who were here first, the indigenous Buckeye people that carved this thing up 20 years ago and took care of their old goat buddies from back from the Midwest, they don't want to change it. And that's why, let me play, this was delivered to me.
I'll start so you can record me, okay?
All right.
All right, my name's Danielle Johnson. I'm an officer of Superior Court. I have a legal delivery for you. It's coming from Adult Village Homeowners Association. It's a summons and complaint. What you want to do is read through it. If you have any questions, the attorney's name and number is up on top. They'll be able to answer any of your questions.
Okay, this is their attorney, right?
Yes, the attorney that's representing the homeowner.
And
So,
look, what is this? Is this it?
Yes, those are
I
all
want
the
the
documents.
camera to look. See what's happening right here? This is almost over a quarter of an inch of documents. How many pages are here?
All right, sir, that's all I have to do. I'll let you take care of the rest.
What was your name again?
My name is Danielle Johnson. I'm an officer of Superior Court.
Okay, for what Superior Court? Here in Buckeye?
No, the Superior Court is out of Maricopa County. It's a county thing, so we're licensed through the county.
I want to let you know, and I'm going to make this statement.
Okay?
They're sending me this right here. They refuse to talk to me on the phone.
Okay.
All right? I'm kicked out of the HOA. I've been kicked out of the HOA for over 7 years. They will not talk to me about the problem I have with my home and with my neighborhood, with the access easement, the emergency access easement.
Yeah,
I'm giving. Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm just
here
letting.
to deliver it.
I know. I'm letting you know. I'm letting you know. You're just doing your job.
Yes,
But
sir.
look at what they've delivered me. I
Yeah.
got over a quarter of an inch here of documents that I've got to read, and it's their lawyer.
Yes. So,
They always want me to call their lawyer. Have a good evening.
thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Okay. All right. I apologize to that lady. She was only doing her job. And I want to let you know before we close there, I keep a video camera by the door at all times. I've had people come up to the door. Wayne Blair came up to my door one day with a mask on during COVID, and my girlfriend, I had registered her as a resident here. I had sent in the mail. I had sent in when she moved back in. She was here for about 6 months or a year, her second trip here. I sent a letter to the HOA registering her with her name, address, her her age, everything else. Well, during COVID, while I was selling my other house, I was over here visiting her one day. In her house, I lived in the other one. While I was here, the doorbell rang. And when I went to the doorbell, there was a guy in a mask. Tall guy in a mask. And if I hadn't have been here, she would have given him so much information. He tried to get by me with the mask on. He said, I'm from the Census Bureau. This is Wayne Blair. Wayne Blair, the guy that was a slave chaser for the Sundance Active Adult Community for about 10 years. A slave chaser, a Nazi. All right, that your word gets used a lot, but that's what I call him. All right, he came up the door with his mask on, hoping that she would open the door by herself, and she's very. She would have gave him all the information. All he would have had to say is, "I'm from Census Bureau." That's what it was. He started in on me, going, "I'm from the Census Bureau," and he went. The more he talked, and I looked, and I go, "That's Wayne Blair." I said, "You stay here just a minute." I ran home to my house, got my video camera, and I stuck my video camera in his face. I said, "Okay, now what do you want?" "Well, I'm from the Census Bureau." Well, we'd already filled out a census. I'd already done all the census stuff. And I had already registered my friend as an occupant in this house. All right? So he comes up thinking he's going to fool her. He runs into me. Well, I put the camera on him. And I established, you're with the HOA, aren't you? Weren't you? Weren't you with the HOA? And finally, he got a little frustrated with the camera on him, and he goes, "I don't have to take this." And he left. And I chased him out of my yard with the camera to the sidewalk. And he admitted, they want to know who lives here. The HOA wants to know who lives here. If they're going to foreclose on somebody, they got to know who to foreclose on. That's my logic. Okay? I'm going to play you that video, or I'm going to put it, send it to you. But this is what I've been dealing with. Like I said, I apologize to this later, but the DA for Fulton County, Georgia, she's plastered all over. Everybody who's a public person in this country, all right, has their face, and it's especially if they're an enemy of Trump. All right? There's more to come. But thank you for listening. Like I said, they used to have a guy on Channel 10 that every night before he did the weather. Classy guy. Classy guy. Before it was Fox, when it was Fox about 20 years ago, they weren't as polarized as they are now. But Dave Ramsey used to say, every night after he did his weather report, the last thing he would say is, "Watch your kids around water." Well, I'm going to be Dave Muncy. Don't ever, ever, ever buy into an HOA. This is Jim Crow on steroids. Jim Crow reconstruction in Klan world, Ku Klux Klan down south. Okay? They've got lawyers that once they target you, you haven't got a chance. Okay? Now, this paper package I got, I have no idea what to do with it. I've interviewed lawyers before, and I pretty much understand not a lawyer in Arizona wants to take on this case. All right? So, I don't know what to do. And I can't sell the house because the house is out of compliance, and I won't sell it dishonestly. I will not let a Buckeye realtor make a listing and say that everything in this house is right. It isn't. It's out of compliance. The sewer pipes were degraded. All right? I keep over and over again saying that. Anyway, as Dave Ramsey said, don't ever buy in an HOA. That's the way I'm going to close. Thank you for listening.